Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Drop the Gloves. Thanks for joining us here. Tim, it's over. It's done. We did it. We got through 82 games. We got through 4 rounds of the playoffs. And I think we did a pretty damn good job. You know what I mean? I don't want to pat myself on the back or pat you on the back, but solid work, my friend. We absolutely knocked it out of the park. I think we exceeded expectations. I'm pleased with our season. Are you, Tim, with your work? Any regrets?
Always trying to get better, but no,
Yeah.
it was good.
Listen to you.
It was a good game. Great season. A lot of fun. I feel like we do get better every year at this and bring more guests on and better guests and better coverage. And yeah, we'll talk about last night, but overall, yeah, great season. A little sad that it's over, but it's also nice. I think we were sprinting for a while, so it'll be good to take a little bit of a breather.
Unfortunately, you did not hit your playoff bonuses. Yeah, it's not my call. Not my call, but yeah, you were very close. Very, very close. Maybe next year.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Happen. No, yeah, the carrot's always there. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. And much like the Edmonton Oilers, you did not get it this year. And I spoiled the lead, but the Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup. For everybody who doesn't know yet, and you come here solely for your information, Panthers won last night. And what I thought was going to happen in Game 6 happened in Game 7. The Florida Panthers took the game serious, and they played with desperation, and they played the way they've played throughout these playoffs, and they finally put the nail in the coffin and sent the Edmonton Oilers home packing with a huge dose of just tears and what ifs and just rotten taste in their mouth. I had a conversation with my friends who I was watching the game with, Neil Witkowski and my priest, Father Libby. That's how I roll these days. And their kids, David and Christopher and Joseph. We watched the game together. And I posed this question to them, and I'll pose it to you guys now. Is it better to lose the Stanley Cup Finals in Game 7 by 1 goal, knowing you could easily have won this game if a couple bounces go your way, but you lose, or to lose it 4 straight, and not have that tinge the rest of your life? Could have won that cup. Maybe if I would have did this, maybe if I would have did that, we would have won that cup. Whereas if you lose 4 straight, you don't have any doubts. You lost. You were the worst team. Which side do you fall on, Tim?
My gut says the losing in 4 straight. Because in the moment, it's humiliating, right? It's embarrassing. You think you're the best team in the league if you get to the finals or the top 2, 3, whatever. You think you deserve it for being there. And losing in 4 straight is just humiliating. But I think it would be losing by 1 goal in Game 7 is the stuff that keeps you up at night. So if you have to pick, that's what I go with.
It says a lot about you.
Okay. What does it say?
Just you don't like adversity.
Okay.
I don't want to go. I'm not a psychoanalyst here. But yeah, I get what you're saying. That's why I asked all these guys, because the look on the Oilers' face after they lost, it was sad. Like, you can tell these guys gave it all up, and that's all you can ask. Like, they really did put it out there. It was a fantastic game. Like, it was very entertaining, even though it was only 2-1 game. It was super fun to watch. The desperation, you could tell the guys were just, the Florida Panthers especially, diving in front of pucks, doing everything they can to get it out. Edmonton was the better team at times in the third period especially. I don't think Florida had a shot. I think after the 5-minute mark, I don't think they had 1 shot. It was all Edmonton. They were throwing everything at the net. Nothing was getting through because it was just block shot after block shot after block shot. It was an impressive just shot blocking clinic they put on. But before we get into that, I know everyone's like, where's the Bet365 at? That's why we come here for. Here it comes, everybody. This episode is brought to you by Bet365, proud partner of Dropping the Gloves. You can open an account today with Bet365 and bet on a huge range of markets. So whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code HOCKEYCA. That's code HOCKEYCA at Bet365. Still lots of sports to bet on. Bet on cricket over in India. Bet on Aussie rules football. You know what I mean? There's lots of stuff. The slap fight games. You can bet on people slapping each other. I don't know if you can do that. Maybe. Check it out. Go to Bet365, open an account, and you can find out. All right. I have not talked to Tim since the game was over. Texting him throughout the game. For Haggy. I knew it. Reinhardt. Unbelievable Ullmark. What was your take on the game, Tim? How was it? Let me hear it.
Yeah, it was a great game, obviously. And, there are other games in this series that were higher scoring and more exciting in that way with the goals and the celebrations and the big swings and everything like that. But this was such a good hockey game from start to finish, just in terms of the effort, in terms of like just how solid everyone played. Like you saw Bobrovsky at his best pretty much. And you saw like, the desperation, obviously in the third period. But even before that, like great plays from Florida. They came out swinging. They were dominating. They got that early goal. It looked like everything was going their way, and the Oilers bounced right back with that breakaway goal. And you kind of think, okay, we're back to even, So It was a great game. There's a few critiques I have, mostly on the Edmonton side that we'll get into, of players that needed to be better. But I thought it was really entertaining, and I did notice too, like you mentioned Verhaeghe, even Reinhart, getting those two guys getting the goals when those were the two that needed to step up the most, and they weren't. Well, Verhaeghe's goal was pretty good. That tip-in was beautiful. The Reinhart one was okay, but he needed it. And they obviously ended up being the game winner. So that was cool to see those guys step up. And like I mentioned, Bobrovsky having a bounce-back game.
Yeah, I think first period, both teams were tight. You could tell no one wanted to make that first mistake. Everybody was just playing it pretty close to the vest, and rightfully so. It's game 7. Everything's on the line. Last game, all the cliches come into play, And you could tell. And that favors Florida's game plan more than it does Edmonton's. Edmonton plays a very fast style game, scoring chances off the rush, breakaways, breaking it out, catching the other team off guard. That's their style. When you're more closed off and more concerned about your D zone and the back end and making mistakes, that mindset affects your game more. Whereas the Florida Panthers are more just getting zone to zone to zone, almost militaristic. What is that word? Militaristic?
Militaristic.
Yeah, like just every single zone. And they just do it methodically. So I think that played into their game plan a little bit more. And obviously they get the first goal. But gosh, and I said it to my friends I was watching the game with them, like whoever gets the first goal, I think will win this game. And obviously that first goal didn't mean much because Ullmark right away, like just answers to make it 1-1. I thought Edmonton was going to take off after that, but you got to give props to the Florida Panthers. A 2-1 game is not sexy, not exciting, but they shut down Edmonton's first line and second line for 2 games. Everybody looks at the box score of game 6 and they go, 5-1, that's a blowout. It wasn't the top 2 lines. Draisaitl played good, but he didn't get any goals. He had that first pass backdoor to Ullmark, which is beautiful. Other than that, he was pretty invisible. And I was thinking to myself in the first period, is McDavid even playing? And the 8 minutes has already passed. I'm like, I haven't noticed him once. And I don't know if something's wrong with him, but he had 0 shots in game 6. In game 7, he was very pedestrian. Not like the lightning fast, McDavid that we know and love, who's put up 42 points this playoff series. And I think it's because the Panthers, they knew when he was on, obviously, but they double teamed him a lot of the times where they had a guy coming under, a guy coming over. They did a good job with him. But is it a case of they were just out of gas, Tim?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, it took everything they had to win those last 3 games, and they were incredible wins, and they deserve a ton of credit for it. But they didn't have much left in game 7, and they played pretty well. Like it's a 2-1 game. It was tied for most of it. It seemed like it was a good game, and they weren't outmaneuvered or outclassed or any of those words, but they just weren't. They didn't have much left in the tank. You can see it, especially at the end of the game when the goalie's pulled. We'll get there, but the third period, they should have been circling the net, and they had a couple of shits where they did, but there just wasn't much left. And Florida was not making it easy for them, just like you said, blocking shots, diving in front of pucks, little chipping outs, forcing turnovers, just getting sticks in lanes on the bodies right away. All the things that they've done so well. And if you look, there's a stat that a friend of the show, Demers, tweeted out a little while ago. He said the Florida is something 35-0 or 35-2 or something in the whole season when they go into the third period with a lead. They're just so good at that. And 10-0 in the playoffs. They just don't let other teams come back. And when you have a goalie like Bobrovsky who wants to rise to that moment, and when you have a team that's willing to do all those little things, a 1-goal lead can be enough. And that's what it was last night.
Yeah, and you could tell the Oilers, their big chance, I think there was 4 or 5 minutes left when Bouchard threw it into McDavid, and he was in the slot all alone. And everybody knows the play I'm talking about. He comes backhand to forehand. His stick gets caught by, was it Monto or Mikola or Reinhardt or somebody? And it was just a pitchfork fest. Guys were diving everywhere, trying to get the puck across the crease. Bobrovsky was out of position because McDavid made a nice move on it right in front of the net. I think after that goal didn't go in, they were done. Because like you said, when they pulled the goalie, it was almost as if the game was over. I was thinking to myself and talking to those around me, I was like, they won't score. They aren't going to score because there was nothing left in the tank whatsoever. McDavid gets the puck in the neutral zone. He didn't have that extra burst. They were, poking pucks at the blue line out into the neutral zone. There was a sense of urgency. I just don't think they had anything left. And here's the thing. Chris Knobloch made every right decision in this playoff run. We talked about it in the Dallas series and the Vancouver series. Every time they were in a funk, he pressed the right button, got him out of it. In this series, down 3-0, he made every right decision. I think he messed up because he went to that top line early. I think there was like 9 minutes left, and that was it. That's the only line that played. So they were on the ice for what is, 9 straight minutes. So when there's 2 minutes left and you pull the goalie, like, you almost feel bad for McDavid because he gets the puck and he has no legs. Like, he's straight legging it in the most crucial point in the season. You're down by 1 in Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals, and there's nothing there. You train all summer, all season, peak physical shape this guy is, and he had nothing left. And you could tell after the game, hunched over, goes right to the bench and sits down. He's out of gas. So you felt bad for him because I think the coach failed him at that point. They should have taken him out around the 4-minute mark, sat him for a minute and a half. Get a breath, put your third line out there, which wasn't bad. I like their third line. Henrique and Brown and those guys, they're decent players. Take a timeout. You guys have the last 2.5 minutes. Go. That's it. This is our last stand. But he didn't. He thought it was more beneficial to have them out there for 9 straight minutes. And I think that was a bad strategy by Knobloch.
And it manifested its way in like the last couple of minutes when you have Ekholm and Bouchard at different times trying to break in, and they had nothing.
Yeah.
Like Ekholm's trying to get a pass through, it's sent right back the other way. Bouchard comes back with it on a rush, trying to get it through. He has nothing. He just throws it into the corner. Like there's no options left because Florida's getting in the lane, doing what they do, and the Oilers have no the forwards have no speed to get open. They can't find a lane. They have nothing, so he just throws it into the corner. And this is something that they would have been very good at. Like if there's a team in the league that's meant for an empty net opportunity to get chances on skate around Oilers, and create that flow, it's the Oilers. And just like you said, maybe it's Knobloch's fault for not setting his players better up for that. But then again, you easy to say that after the game, so we'll see. But it's a bummer. It's a bummer for them. And you feel for guys like McDavid and Draisaitl who are not, I don't think they got much sleep last night because they wanted better, not just to win, but they wanted to be the reason they won. And they were close to the reason they lost. McDavid, no points in games 5 and 6 or 6 and 7.
Yeah. And
Draisaitl hasn't scored since 9 games. So he had no goals in the entire finals, devastating. He had that little quote of it's really hard, and to get back at it, we have to go through another entire 82 game season just to have a chance at it. That's a low place to be right now.
There's a very real chance this Oilers team will never get to the Stanley Cup Finals again. That's just how it rolls. I think the Panthers will be back. I think they are built for the playoffs. And you heard Tkachuk talking after the game how this group, they're just getting started. And I said that a couple months ago. This team is scary. But we'll see. It's sad to think about, but you got to give kudos to where kudos is due. Sam Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Barkov, Ekblad, all those guys played fantastic. They played really, really good, which begs to the question. Was it a right decision for Connor McDavid to win the Conn Smythe Trophy? What do you think, Tim?
No, I hated it.
Wow.
I'm like, in my mind, and while Gary's talking, while he goes up, I'm like, okay, is it Barkov or Bobrovsky? Is it Barkov? And there's no way you can give it to a player whose team lost and he had no points in the final 2 games. I know he set the assist record. I know he did these things. You missed an opportunity. And on top of that, we talked about this last week or the week before, McDavid is embarrassed to win that. He doesn't want that trophy. There's no plaque on his mantle at home going up about this. Like he didn't come back out, which I don't fault him for. But no, I thought it was the wrong pick. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, I disagree. Very close, I bet. I know it was him and Bobrovsky. Everybody does, but I do think it's an entire playoff thing, and that kind of helps Bobrovsky as well because he played terrible in games 4, 5, and 6. But when you look at the totality of the offseason, I think you can't argue when someone is on the cusp of breaking a Wayne Gretzky record and does break a Wayne Gretzky record. So it's hard to ignore. Like he's 5 points away from setting the all-time playoff point record. Right?
Yeah, I get it.
No, and I get it Bobrovsky's side too, because he had 12 straight games or something silly like that where he gave up 2 goals. Like he was just as good as McDavid.
Well, the results came out, but McDavid got 16 out of 17 first place votes.
There you go. So he got the lion's share.
Close. Yeah.
So I was the only one who voted for Bobrovsky. So, but now I called it before the game. I said, even if Florida wins, it's going to be McDavid unless Bob gets a shutout, 40 save shutout. And he didn't. And McDavid was, invisible this game, and he got no points again. But that's what it is. Again, it's does his name play a part in it? Yeah, but he's an incredible player. I don't want to downplay what he did. He was absolutely electric this whole playoffs. He played fantastic. The goals weren't there. The assists definitely were there. And where Leon Draisaitl kind of faltered, McDavid never. He was a stalwart on this team, and I think he ran out of gas. I honestly did. I just don't think he had enough in the tank at the end of the day. And what do you say about number 29? Because we throw stones at Matthews and Marner and Nylander and all these guys, and the Rangers trio over there with Zibanejad and Panarin and Kreider. What about 29? No goals in 9 games. That's what he does. He scores goals. He's a finisher on this team. Does he get any flack for not stepping up in a big moment at all this 7 games? Because he had a lot of chances. No goals.
Yeah, of course he does. And I think he's probably going to be harder on himself than any of us can be on him. But the difference, obviously, is his team went to the finals versus like a Marner, But I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. And I don't think you can give a ton of, you can give some, but I think it has more to do with him rather than what Florida took away from him. They did a pretty good job of eliminating him on the power play. But beyond that, I think it's just he had a couple of good chances and just slumped at the wrong time. And again, we'll wait for the next couple of days for the injuries to come out or whatever, but very disappointing for him. And I hope this is a group that, because I want to see these guys win a cup. And we've seen a lot of young cores together. I know they're not that young anymore, but like cores who have a heartbreak or two in the playoffs, learn what it takes, and then come back and finally get it done. Like all the, the Kings, the Blackhawks, the Bruins, all those teams, Lightning, all did that. So maybe this is that heartbreak, and next year they come back.
Yeah, they're not a young group. They've been through this. How long has McDavid been on this team? I want to say,
2015.
2015.
Yeah.
He's been in the league almost a decade. I think they've been in the playoffs. I don't have it in front of me. They've made the playoffs at least the last 5, 6, 7 years. So at what point do we start the conversation? Break up the band. Maybe it's not a bad thing if Draisaitl goes away. Get him a new Robin. I know it's crazy to think, but you invest heavily in 2 players. Yeah, they made the Stanley Cup Finals, so they were 1 game away, but they didn't win it. They didn't get it. They almost got swept. Just I think Draisaitl, he got a pass this playoffs. I don't think anybody was critical of him whatsoever. I think the only criticism he got was from himself, saying I need to be better. There was no one in the press chirping him. There was no one in the press going after him like they went after Matthews and Marner and these guys. Like choke artists, and maybe they were winning. That's not because of him. They weren't winning because of him.
Yeah, but it was swept under the rug because they were winning.
Mm-hmm. Winning changes everything. It's right. a very good medication. But anyways, we can banter about and talk about what they did wrong and how to change this season. Let's move on. Let's talk about what everybody wanted to see. We got the Conn Smythe out of the way. We got the Stanley Cup win out of the way. Who are we going to hand the cup to first? We were both wrong. I thought for sure it's going to Ekblad. Longest tenured Florida Panther, drafted in 2014, number 1 overall, rookie of the year, battled last year through how many injuries, didn't win it. Heartbeat of the team, some would say. besides Matthew Tkachuk. No. They gave it to Bobrovsky. And then Okposo. And then Oliver Ekman-Larsson. And then Dmitry Kulikov slimes his way in there and gets to Cup somehow, some way. And then finally goes to Ekblad. And then Matthew Tkachuk doesn't get it until like number 10 on the list. What did you think of the handoffs and the order? Because I myself, not a fan. Did not like it.
No, I liked it. I mean, I was, my guess was Okposo, but I think Bobrovsky would have been my second guess, and flipping them is no big deal. I think they both deserve it, and I'm really glad that they both got their chance, because we'll talk about these guys that have been on terrible teams forever and finally getting their chance. Really happy for Okposo. OEL and Kulikov surprised me a bit. I kind of expected next to be like the Kachucks and Ekblads and Bennett's and whatever, but yeah, it was fine. And even to Kachuk's credit too, like he didn't really care when he went, and when he did get the mic too, he talked about like how much he wants his brother to win it too. You know, like that's a cool, like you see character in a moment like that. So I thought that was neat.
Which is funny because their careers will overlap pretty much the whole time. So by him saying Brady, you know, that means he won't. So I don't like that as a leader. Maybe he wants Brady on the Florida Panthers. You know what? I got chills twice during this whole thing. It was Evan Rodriguez talking about his kids, and it was Paul Maurice. Those two times I was like, oh man, that's cool. I don't get envious much. Well, envy is the wrong word, jealous. Because envy is, you don't want that person to have it. You want them to, you want to switch. Jealousy is like, you want that, which is okay. I was jealous when I saw that, just the emotion from Paul Maurice. It was almost like it's cathartic for him. He got that cup. Wasn't it neat? It's hard to describe, and I know everybody saw it, but it was just one of those refreshing moments where a coach just forgets everyone's there. He's like, yes, finally. What he had 2,000 games almost, coached 29 years, and he was the losingest coach of all time. And he finally raises the cup. You could see you have that feeling without the cup raised, Tim, because you're year after year of failure. You'll get there one day. You'll get that cup. You'll get that cup. Tim. Keep pushing.
Yeah.
Why am I such a dick? Why do I have to do that?
I don't know. I don't know. We can expand on that if you want. We can dig into that. For me.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, no, it was great. Great moment. And cool because it was mid-interview, right? Mm-hmm. And he breaks up the interview with, he's like, oh, we got a visitor coming, and he does that. So that was really neat. The pictures of him especially are great. There's a lot of great ones. But I was referring to his comment about, he says, next year I hope the Winnipeg Jets win one. Did you hear that?
Sorry, what did he say?
He said, next year I hope the Winnipeg Jets win the cup. There's like a shout out to the fans and everything. And I know he doesn't mean it in the sense of like, of course he wants to come back and win it next year. But
yeah,
you know, that's just worse than what Tkachuk said about his brother.
I don't understand that. Like, yeah, whatever. He's a nice guy. This playoff run and his interviews and it's changed my perception of him. Yeah, I thought he was just a good coach, but just kind of like didn't know what was up and just kind of a hard ass. He seems like a very good guy and like a nice players coach. And it was neat what he said about the Florida Panthers dressing room, how he didn't have to do much. They were such a rock solid group. And even the guys who came in, you know, the Tarasenko's at the end, the Okposos, it was like you would have thought they were here for 10, 15 years, just how they were embraced and how they just meshed in, and everybody was playing in the same way. So that was cool because I've been in a lot of locker rooms and it's just a lot of them are fractured and just not good. And to hear that, it's nice. So good moment. One of the most funnest moments was seeing Matthew's parents and brother. Just love him. Isn't that? Do you get emotional when your brother does like good stuff that like Brady was?
Yeah, I mean, in the last year and a half, my brother got married and had a baby. Like he's doing great. So sometimes I do. Yeah, I mean, yeah. You and I are different people.
I think I'm dead inside. I don't know what it is. My brother has a kid. I'm like, it's cool, man. Yeah, nice. No emotions whatsoever. Oh,
yeah.
Sometimes I think if I'll cry at like my parents' funeral or like my brother's funeral or something bad happened, because I just feel like sometimes there's nothing inside.
Well, that's because when you have that many kids, your heart's outside of your body. It's not inside anymore.
I love you're putting the spin on it. That's nice of you. See, I would have really buried you if you would have opened up like I just did. I'm like, yeah, because you're a psychopath.
You're being vulnerable, John.
I'm opening. Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Good job.
All right, so let's talk about. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, Keith Tkachuk crying was great. Brady, like, his whole time, just hands over his face. That was cool seeing them hug on the ice. They haven't gone to bed yet. Like, the tweets still coming out this morning, and the videos of them on the beach and pouring beer out of the cup onto strangers and fans. And yeah, they're all pretty special.
Winning at home doesn't happen often. And what a scene. And then to think of how the Florida Panthers got here. Bill Zito, obviously another guy who was emotional the whole time throughout this whole playoffs. You saw him throwing water bottles, losing his mind in the press box. Like, he's a very passionate guy. It's special for him because he took the President's Trophy winning team 2 years ago, setting records for goals scored, averaging 4+ goals a game, like just a lightning fast team. He saw what happened in the playoffs, and he had the guts and the balls to say, this doesn't work. Changed the whole way they played. Fired the coach, brought in somebody else, then brought in Maurice after that, and just changed the entire makeup of not makeup, but just the way the team played. Traded Huberdeau, the MVP candidate, traded Weegar, brought in some sandpaper and Matthew Tkachuk. That's a gutsy move, and to see it pay off for him, it's good. I think it's good for other GMs to see, because there's some teams around the league who just languish in mediocrity, or better than mediocrity, like success, but never getting to that next level. I hope other GMs see this and go, we gotta make a push. Be bold. Make a big trade. Because look at Bill Zito. He's a Cup champion. He traded his best player, arguably. Yeah. Most offensively gifted player. So I love that stuff. It was good.
I hope Tree Living gets that message. I hope he watches that and says, I know what I have to do.
All these stinking accounts now, I feel like people just tweet stuff out to get clicks, and they're all just smoke and mirrors. So I saw one the other day, Marner's going to Utah. It's going to happen. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not going to happen. So it's annoying. But yes, he needs to trade Mitch Marner yesterday. But that's a whole other show for a whole other topic. Let's stay on the Florida Panthers. You talk about ESPN coverage fails, Tim. What's going on with that?
Yeah, I mean, were you watching on cable, or do you have ESPN Plus up?
Cable.
Yeah, so same as me, and there was a few issues where they kept muting the audio because people were swearing, which is stupid. Like they would mute it for like 8, 10, 12 seconds at a time, it felt like. Or it's just like it's 11 o'clock at night, like the players just won the Stanley Cup. Don't mute the audio, it's stupid. And then it's not necessary.
What if my kid's watching the game?
The big one, they should know those words by now. The big one is
they should know those words by now.
Watching Barkov lift the cup. Oh, wait, we didn't see it because they missed it. Did you catch that?
Mm-mm.
They did not show Barkov lift the cup. They showed him skating away from Bettman, and then cut over to him 3-4 seconds later, and he's already like skating around. It's like the biggest moment of the year, watching the captain lift the cup, and ESPN didn't show it. And TNT gets to cover its finals next year. And you know that someone, they're rubbing their hands. They're like, yeah, this is great. Great for us. I love to see when those guys fail. Just very frustrating.
Is that Turner Broadcasting TNT? What's TNT?
I don't know.
Because we do that Bleacher Report. That's TBS. So is that one of the same company?
I don't know.
We got to get in there, Tim. We got to get in there. We would be just as good as PK Subban. Not Messi. Messi is good.
You maybe. Subban, they're all good. They're all fine. They're fine.
I actually have a meeting with ESPN this week. Like a little interview for next year.
Nice.
We'll see how it goes. For TV stuff. No, because the Hawks, they lost to NBC. So I'm trying to just see if there's something else out there. So I'm kicking the tires on ESPN maybe a little bit.
Nice.
We'll see. But back to ESPN. The one umbrage I have with them, the one camera view they have that they stole from football, the one that's on the wire.
Yeah, I like that.
The helicopter. I can't stand it. It's to me personally, it's a terrible vantage point to watch the play, and it's never fast enough to follow the play. I really don't like it. It's not close enough to see the puck and to see the moves, and it's not far enough away to get a good idea of actually the whole ice. So and even the angle, I really don't like it. I really don't like it. So if I do work for ESPN, this is the first thing I'm doing.
I liked it.
Get rid of that camera.
I really did. I thought it was cool because you could see more while being closer, because you were closer to the ice than the regular broadcast view, but you had a better view than like typically they show you. So I thought it was good.
You're
That's the
wrong.
difference between you and me, Tim. You kids your age, you enjoy a camera like that. I would never. Back when I was
I like it for
your age.
football. I think it works for football because you can follow the ball and it's easier to predict where it's going and the running back or the pass, and that's fine. Hockey's too fast. The puck's too small. A lot of the times the guy takes a shot and I have no idea where the puck is because the camera. Like usually if the camera's in the right position, you can track the puck and you can see where it goes. But a lot of the times this playoffs, I was just guessing. Is it in? No? Okay, it's going around the boards, right?
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, kids your age, you have no idea what real hockey is. It drives me nuts. But all right, let's put a bow in this almost. But are the Edmonton Oilers going to make it back to the Stanley Cup Finals next year? Do you think they have it in them? They have still 2 more years with these guys, Draisaitl and McDavid. They're bringing back Hyman. Obviously, Kane wasn't there. He's a huge part of this team. You just can't deny it. They got the Nuge. They have a lot of UFAs they got to wrap up. They got Brown and Carrick and Fogle and Gagne and Henrique and Ullmark and Perry. A lot of work to do in the offseason. Do you think these guys have what it takes to come back?
Do they have what it takes? Maybe. Sure.
Will they?
No, they won't. I mean, so many things had to go their way. And you look at their roster, and there was a tweet about this before Game 7. Basically, like, look at their defense. If you look at their defense and you look at their offense and how they're built, like, you have Cody Ceci and all these guys, like, they shouldn't be top 4 defensemen on a cup-winning team. And they rely on the offense. They rely on the forwards. They rely on the goals. And I know it's less so than in the past, but it's still like who they are as a team. Maybe Toronto's onto something. They're building like a similar model. You know what I mean? Like if you can just get hot at the right time, get out of a couple series the right way and get a big game here and there from your goalie in a way that Toronto hasn't been able to do. So the answer to your question, no, I don't think
they're going to be back. I think maybe Toronto's onto something?
That was the tweet that went out, just basically saying like, if Edmonton can do this with this model, then maybe Toronto's not that far behind.
Wow. Interesting take.
I mean, yeah, I think too many things went their way and made them look better than they were. I think they're a good team. I don't think they're a finals every year type team.
You think Florida gets back?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I do.
I agree. I think when you look at the divisions, I think the West is getting stronger. It's kind of funny how it ebbs and flows. The East was juggernauts for years and years and years. Now I think the strength will be out West. The Oilers are going to be good. I think the Canucks are going to be very, very good next year. The Kings are going to be improved now they got rid of PLD. Predators, Knights, those teams are all going to be improved. So then in the East, I don't know, like Bruins are going to take a step back from the looks of it. The Leafs, I don't think they're going to be any better. The Rangers, I think they've hit their high water mark. So Hurricanes, I don't think they'll be. But yeah, what I'm saying is I think the Panthers have a better chance to get back. And the Oilers, they're fun to watch. I hope they make it back too. But anyways, moving on, Tim. Let's put that in the past. The 2023-24 season is over. We're moving on to the 24-25 season. And we have a trade to announce. Tim's team, the Boston Bruins, have made a trade. Before we talk about the trade, Tim, surprised?
No. It was a when, not if situation on this, and everyone thought it was coming before the draft, and it did. I was hoping for certain outcomes. That didn't come to fruition. We can get into the return, but yeah, it was pretty disappointed overall.
Don Sweeney, his main ship this offseason is Linus Ullmark. Jeremy Swayman is your certified starter now. No point in spending $5 million on a backup when you're going to have to pay Jeremy Swayman big bucks. So they had to move Ullmark in order to re-sign people, free up some cap space, and hopefully get a top six forward or a decent D-man in return. That's the goal. You know, we saw what goalies bring. What was it, the latest trade where goaltender brought decent? It was this last week, a guy traded a goaltender. It was a pretty good return.
For Pierre-Luc Dubois, Markstrom?
Yeah. Linus Ullmark is way better than Markstrom. He should have brought in, pretty good return. Vezina Trophy winner last year. No, Don Sweeney got completely fleeced in my eyes, in a lot of people's eyes. A just missed opportunity. Oh, but he freed up a lot of cap space. No, he didn't. He took on most of Korpisalo's contract. He freed up just a little over $1 million in cap space. You get a terrible goalie who has just been terrible the last few years, a rebuild project. He could be good. He might be the same goaltender who's terrible. You bring in a fourth-line tough guy and you get a first-round pick. Your first-round pick that you traded away for Tyler Bertuzzi to the Detroit Red Wings a few years ago, which is the 25th overall, which we know means next to nothing. It's just a hope and a prayer pick at the end of the first round that this guy's going to pan out. So really, you get $1 million cap savings and a worst backup goalie. Good deal by Don Sweeney, Tim? Your vaunted Don Sweeney can't do no wrong, always wins the trade.
The Sweeney. Yeah, no, that was pretty disappointing because all the rumors were circulating. It was going to be Ottawa. It was going to be Ullmark. Are we getting Chychrun back? Are we getting a Shane Pinto back?
Ooh.
You know, that's what I thought. And maybe and the rumor was even one of those guys and the 25th pick. And we didn't get either of those two players, obviously. So pretty disappointing. The main reason for moving Ullmark was to get cap relief, which you didn't really get much of. I don't hate Korpisalo as much as some others do. I know he was really bad last year, basically the worst in the league last year. He's also been pretty good at certain parts of his career too. And even going back to the 2 seasons ago he got traded to the Kings and he was like 8-3 with them with the goals against in the twos. Like he's been okay at certain parts of his career. And obviously he'll be even better with Boston's defense and system and coaching and all that than he was in Ottawa. So I'm not worried about him as a backup goalie. I wish we had not paying 75% of his salary. The Kostelic, that fourth line center, like he's fine. 25th overall pick is fine. But the biggest issue is that you had some glaring roster issues and you had one real big chance to make a trade this summer and you didn't really do it. Like, and I get the thing with Sweeney is that obviously there were a couple of suitors lost off the market because they'd already traded for a goalie. Ullmark would not sign an extension with his new team, which limited his ability and his traded value. And then the only way to get the 25th pick was to take on Korpisalo. It was either neither or both. And so he did it. And he gets his backup goalie, gets back into the first round. But it was frustrating. I think Bruins fan as a whole expected more. We expected a bigger splash. We expected to be adding to the top 6 or to the top 4 defense. None of that happened. You have a lot of cap space, which is nice, but it's just frustrating that we didn't trade a Vezina winning goalie for something more.
And the fact that you do bring a goaltender back in the deal is also scratching because they have a pretty good prospects in the system. This Brandon Bussey kid, 6'5", 220 pounds, like prototypical modern day goaltender. Played really well with Providence, played his college hockey at Western Michigan, just down the road from me. So that doesn't make sense to me either because you have this kid who needs to get some professional games. He's 26. He's not getting any younger, and he would do perfect under Swayman.
Yep.
Give him 20 games, coach him up a little bit. Talk about like opportunity, but no, you bring in Korpisalo, a known commodity who makes $4 million, you're paying him $3 million, and he's stunk the last 2 years. So yeah, maybe that was all he could get. But at the end of the day, I think I would have rather just held pat. Just held on to Ullmark at that point. Eat the extra $1 million and then maybe trade him early on in the season. He did have a no-move clause, so maybe that was an issue. He couldn't negotiate with all the teams, but I doubt it if he's trading him to Ottawa. That's got to be one of the most undesirable places to go to as a goaltender.
Right.
So anyways, any last thoughts on this, Tim? Does this help the Bruins next year?
No. Nope. No, it doesn't hurt him that much because you're already, you're going to get, 50, 55 games from Swayman either way. And
if they can sign him. I heard he wants $14 million.
Okay.
A year.
Let's do some quick hits.
And then are you going to be okay with not their no hugs after the games now from Ullmark and Swayman? Everybody loved that.
Yeah. It'll be sad. Let's see if they have a new tradition or they just move on.
I hope they don't because it was a huge embarrassment for everybody involved. Let's do a stupid hug after the game.
Which you've admitted now.
No, it became bigger than the French. It was like, oh, we got to do this because we're getting so much attention. Let's hug it up, you guys. All right. Couple quick hits, Tim, and we'll get out of here. Colorado Avalanche have extended their big deadline acquisition from the Buffalo Sabres, Casey Mittelstadt, to a 3-year, $5.75 million deal. Very good for both sides, if you ask me. He's a good second-line center. Still relatively young. They're not investing too much into him, but they keep him under the umbrella of the Colorado Avalanche for a few more years. He will be a UFA after this. This brings him into his age 28 year. surprised by this deal, not a longer term deal, more money, or you think this makes sense?
No, I think it's a great for both player and team. You know, he's making $16 million over the next 3 years. They have their second line center locked up, and he's been good. He fit well into that system. He was pretty good in the playoffs, you know, so I think it's a good move for both sides.
Yeah, he still has not had his breakout season. So that 5.75 really is a show me what you can do type number. He had 59 points a few years ago, but he's not a huge goal scorer.
Yeah.
He's more of a disher. So I like it too. I think it works out for both player and team where they can kind of see if he works. He will put up decent amount of points. What?
I got to wrap up. It's 2:00.
Oh, all right. What else? We got Jets extended Dylan DeMelo to 4 years, 4.5 per? No.
4.9.
4.9 per Dylan DeMelo with the Winnipeg Jets. Are you serious? He's getting 4.9 per year?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm looking at it right now. That is an incredible deal for a defenseman who has been a journeyman. He's 31 years old. I play with him with San Jose Sharks. That's a bad deal. That's going to age really, really bad. 4.9 for that guy. He should be making $2 million. Thoughts, Tim?
Yeah, agreed.
All right. And then I want to dig into this more. So I don't want to get into this too much right now, but Arizona Coyotes, their owner's a dirty, rotten liar.
This Friday show right there.
We'll talk about that on Friday. All right, everybody. Tim's got to go selfishly to do other stuff. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you guys on Friday. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to Dropping the Gloves with John Scott, a member of the Nation Network of Podcasts. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from to never miss an episode.